Hey, how are you doing? So glad you're here. And I have something that I have for you, okay, that kind of becomes a nemesis for all moms, teens. Does your teen have habits that you would like to stop or change or shift, right? And it's kind of hard to get them to see the habit, much less want to change it. Am I right? Right. All right, so we're going to talk about habits today. Okay, so do you love them? Do you hate them? Now, what about habits that you have that you would like to change, make better, create something, a different way of doing something? And for instance, for me, I'm just going to use myself as an example. What about keys? Trying to find your keys so that you can get out the door. Well, after you have taken care of working with your kids and getting them ready to go, and then you're like, okay, let's go, and you're looking for your keys and you can't find your keys. Have that ever happened to you? It happens to me a lot. And I'm looking here, I'm looking there, I'm trying to rack my brain with the last place I was. Where would I have put them? And again, it allows me to be late. And that's one of the things I'm trying to really work on. I don't know about you, but being on time, because I know how it can affect other people. And it can affect, if somebody else really expects for you to be there at a certain time for a certain obligation and you're running late. Or if you are taking, carpooling your kids or teens to someplace like piano lesson or a soccer game, and we're running late, Mom. I'm going to be late and I'm not going to be there in time for warm up. Well, gosh, if I could just find my keys so we can get out of the house when we're ready to go, and I'm not spending those last few minutes frantically looking for my keys, and I'm talking to myself, I'm dumb, I can't seem to find my keys, what's going on with my brain, I don't have a really good memory, I'm running late, I'm never on time, I'm an inconvenience to other people, I'm not good enough. Wow, that took me down a road that, that can happen if you are not in control of your habits, of being able to find something, whatever that is that you're wanting to become better at, making decisions, whatever that is for you. Because if you are not doing the thing that you're wanting to do, that takes you down that rabbit hole of, I'm not good enough. I can't make a decision, right? And so that becomes part of your identity and the belief that you have about who you are. And that, my friend, needs to change. That also happens with our kids as well and our teens. If we're on them cleaning up the room or being on time for something or whatever it is that we're usually talking to our kids about, it can reflect into them like, you know what? I'm not good enough, whatever. And so we don't have, we have control over what we're saying, but we don't have control of how they are accepting what it is that you're saying. So you never know what the message is that they're giving themselves. All right. So my friend, we're going to talk about changing some habits. All right. During this session. So hi, I'm Jean Harville, and I'm a certified master neuro coach and a learning strategist on top of that. And I'm the Neuro Leader of the Connected Mom Truth Method, helping moms and their teens to become unstuck, be finishers of what you say you're going to finish, right? And discover who you are, who your truths are, so you can live in those truths, moving forward in whatever it is that you want to achieve in your life, right? So we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit. So go back on. So let's start with what is a habit. That we need to define that, right? We define a habit from a brain-based perspective, because I think it's so important that since we know so much about our brain over the last, 10, 20 years, that we're going to use that, because our brain is much more powerful than we've ever thought before. And we have brain-based processes now on how habits are created and how we can change those habits. Isn't that great? We can change those habits. So habits are rituals of behavior that we perform over and over again. They're automatic. We're not even thinking about them. Brushing your teeth. You just automatically take the toothpaste and the toothbrush, put them together, brush your teeth, without even thinking about it, right? And you automatically put food on the table, get your clothes on, and they just automatically, boop, they're on you. And you're like, how did that happen, or when did that happen? Because you didn't have to even actually think about it. It just happened. And that's that automaticity of what it is that we want things to happen without us having to think about them. What if we had to think about every single action and decision that we make throughout the day? I heard numbers from 35,000 up to 65,000 decisions a day. That's an awful lot of decisions. It makes me tired and wants to go back to bed, right? So we put on automation. Our brain puts things on automation that we do over and over and over again. What we create in our habits is what our brain automates. What we create is what our brain automates. So it falls on us to create the habit that we want. All right, so if I have this habit going in my brain, because you know about the neuro pathways that we've created. And when we think of things over and over again, we create a neural pathway. And that neural pathway runs. It runs in our brain. And there's no, thinking about is it a good pathway or not a good pathway. Your brain doesn't have that decision making. It's you. It's the result that happens from that pathway. If you do not like that result, you get to make a different decision. And to make a different decision, you need to know who you are, what's your identity, who are you being, what's the emotion that's attached to it, and what's the thought that started that whole chain reaction. And so we get to change that result by changing our thought, our thinking, right, from the get-go. So let's just take an example. Let's say, like I said, we have these neural pathways, or I'm just going to call them a freeway, because you can relate that to a freeway, right, in the outside world. And it's like a freeway that you created in your brain that's on automatic. And you say, okay, I want to change that freeway so that I get a different result at the end. And so thinking about that freeway and thinking about what is the new thing that you want to create. All right, so think about like a thought, and you add it with an emotion. It becomes the belief in your identity, and from that identity we make those decisions that create the action and the result. So how do we change this unwanted habit? Because if we keep it and repeat that pattern over and over again, we create that neural pathway in the brain. So when you repeat that same thing, and you have something that's unwanted, becomes frantic and busy and impatient, maybe, waiting for, something to change, and you're not sure how that's going to change. So we create that freeway in our brain that we automatically jump on, and and jump off of that unwanted habit. So how many of you have been driving on that same freeway and you can't find the off ramp, and you'd like to find that off ramp, right? Write me in the comments down below. So have you heard this? It takes 21 days to change that habit. 21 days to change that habit, and to create that habit. And it only takes 21 days to create it, and we want to take away that old habit. Interesting, right? And so what if this habit is not the one that you want, and you want to change that habit, and you want to take it away, just put in the new one that you want, right? Like trying to find my keys, for instance, right? Okay, so one of the habits that I can create is every time I come into my house with my keys, I go to a specific place that I want to, and I've decided in advance what that place is. Happens to be my purse in the zippered section. Every time I walk into the house with my keys, I'm going to go to my purse with the zippered section, open it up, and I'm going to plunk them in there. Now, what I did is I went and I used motion. I unzipped. I hear the zipping, zip, unzip, put my keys in there, clunk, clunk, right? So I'm actually doing an action. I'm watching myself do the action. I'm hearing the action, what the resulting noise of that. So I'm doing a lot of modality stuff too. I'm using my senses and my sensory modality to help me to remember and to see that image of me putting my keys into my purse. So I'm an image creator. I hold my information in pictures, and so I know many of our kids do as well. And so when you use all the modalities of creating that new habit that you want, you're going to be more likely to remember it, because your brain's like, okay, I remember hearing, seeing, remember her saying, I'm putting my keys in the zippered section of my purse, and plunk, and so all that modality work gets to be part of that new highway, the new freeway that you are creating, or that new habit, which is, for me, knowing where my keys are at all times, so I can get my keys and get out the door on time. And then I can create the idea, that I can get myself someplace on time. That's a much better thought than I'm not good enough. I can't seem to be on time at all. Well, this happens also for our kids as well, because if there's something that happens over and over again that's negative, they're going to start possibly creating that negative narrative about themselves, their belief. They don't believe in themselves because I can't do it. I can't write fast enough. I can't whatever. I can't swim. I can't kick the soccer ball. I can't whatever. And that becomes part of their identity. And that's something that we want to, stop, right? So let's go back to us. And the way that we use ourselves is by being the role model. By being that role model. And I've talked about moms being the leaders in their family. We are the leaders of what our kids, and even our husbands, they don't need to know that, but we are. And we can create the atmosphere of changing patterns and habits that are in the home without screaming and yelling and doing like punishments, or if you don't do this, you can't do that, or whatever. Okay, we don't have to have like a reward system or anything like that. We can actually just speak out what it is that we're doing. Your kids are going to say, "What are you doing, Mom?" Say, "Well, I'm retraining my brain." What? You can retrain your brain? Yeah, you can retrain your brain. I'm finding a way that I can remember where my keys are, so that we can get out the door and be on time. Wouldn't you like to be on time to soccer practice? They're like, yay! Now they're on board. So they're seeing what you're doing. They're listening to you. They're hearing, like, oh, I want to do that too. I have something that I would like to change around. All right. So again, going back to that thought, and then going back to the emotion around the thought, and going back to like, that becomes your identity as to who you are, the belief about you. Then comes the decision that you want to make, and then the action, and then the result. And when you are doing those things in that order, then you're creating that new pathway, that new highway or freeway in your brain. And what happens is, you've heard the statement like it takes 21 days to create a habit. Yeah. But what happens is after 21 days, you've got two freeways going in your brain. You've got the old one, and you've got the new one that you've just created. And what happens is between about days 21 to about 30 is a dissonance. You don't know which pathway to be on. You're jumping back and forth. And you're thinking, oh, this is not working. This is not working. I don't get it. It feels hard, right? Difficult. And so what happens is you keep going on this new pathway up to like 67 days. It's only like about 40 some days more. It's not, you're already in the habit of creating this new pathway that you, behaviors that you have put into your routine. The old pathway breaks away. It just literally crumbles away. And by the time you hit that 67-day period and you've got this really solid and the old pathway is gone, you don't remember what you did before because that thought isn't there anymore. And you have your new pathway that you have created, or your new freeway that you have created. And the same thing, when your kids see that, they'll just like, mind blown. I can do that? Say, yeah, let's do that. And have them choose something that, just small something that they want to make a change. Could be, I can never find matching socks. All right. So when they come out of the laundry, let's fold them together, put them in the drawer, create a habit, and have them create that habit. What's that pattern going to be for them? What's the thought that they want to have for that new behavior that they want, and what is the emotion? How does it make them feel? Does it make them feel happy? Does it make them feel like committed to that, creating that new habit? How does it make them feel, less confused, like they know what they're doing? Whatever they come up with that helps them to have a positive emotion to that thought, right? And then that becomes who they are, their identity. And we want our kids to have, think really highly of themselves, right? And from that identity, they make a decision. And the decision is to put their socks together, if that's what it is they decide to do. Put their socks together, open the drawer, put them in the drawer, close it, right? That's the decision that they've made to do. And so that becomes their action, so that they know exactly where those socks are and that they are together. And then the end result is they can find their socks, okay? So that's a very simple way of just getting started and doing that pattern, so that they can learn how to retrain their brain, right? Crazy. And when they take hold of that and say, I can retrain my brain, I can change the way I think, I can change the result, I can change the outcome by just thinking differently. And when they have had success in that, they'll want to do that even more. So you as the model can start deciding what it is that you want. We'll decide in advance what it is that the changes that you want to make in something, simple or basic, around the house, and then speak it out loud and talk through what it is that you are doing, seeing, hearing, feeling, right? And the kids will say, like, what are you doing, Mom? Get them curious. That's how you get them on board. They want to do the same thing, because to them it's like a game. It really can be a game. And so then they're on board creating a new habit for themselves. And then, they go through the motions, and then everybody becomes kind of that partner together, the accountability partner, and do it in a way that's fun. They learn a lot. They learn life skills by creating new habits. And so as your kids are growing into being teenagers and they're stepping out in the world, whatever that means for them, you can rest assured they know how to create the life that they want, the habits that they want, and to recognize when something's not working, how they can tweak that and they can change it. They can change their habit. They can change the way they feel about themselves. Notice the thoughts that they are saying about themselves if they're negative, and how they can change those thoughts. And so you are laying down that pathway, laying down that freeway of how they can change the narrative that's running in their brain about who they are and the actions that they're taking, and how to fix the actions so that they can get the result that they want. All right. So in the comments down below, write down if you are excited about this and you'd love to create like a new habit for yourself, right? Say, me, I like to create a new habit for myself. Me, and I'll respond to that, and we can have a conversation and get you going on that. It'd be really, really fun, right? And if you want to put in there, and I think as moms would probably say, yeah, I have some habits that I want my teen to change as well. You can put them in there as well. So it's always, it was fun to do that. So y'all have a great day, and I'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.